It's pretty common, right? Kids getting colds all the time, or maybe complaining about tummy aches, or they just seem really tired, can't focus well in school. And we usually jump to, well, it must be school stress or too much screen time, easy answers. And sure, those things, they probably play a role. But what if it's hinting at something else? The material we looked at asks, what if these are signs of something deeper, maybe hormonal? We're looking at something the sources show is happening more often. Kids showing signs of, well, growing up too fast physically. It's called precocious puberty. And the definition in the sources is pretty clear. The body changing towards adulthood too soon, specifically before age 8 in girls and before age 9 in boys.
That's exactly right. And the key thing, the source's stress isn't just the definition, it's the trend. It seems to be happening more frequently. So our deep dive today is really to unpack what the sources are telling us about why. Why might this be increasing? And crucially, what does it actually mean for the kids?
Okay, let's get into those potential reasons. The sources point pretty strongly towards lifestyle, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Lifestyle comes up again and again. The sources suggest it's not just background noise. It's actively involved in hormonal balance. We're talking about things like increased childhood obesity rates, a diet heavy on processed foods, sugary drinks.
Yeah, less whole foods.
Exactly. And less physical activity, plus poor sleep habits. The idea hinted at in the research is that these factors can actually disrupt hormone production and regulation. They sort of confuse the body's internal clock. Like excess body fat, for instance, can produce its own hormones and change how the body responds to others, like insulin.
Hmm.
It's all connected to puberty hormones.
That makes sense. It's not just weight itself, but the chemistry changes. Now, the sources also mention something they call hidden dangers. Sounds a bit ominous. What are they?
Right, that's a really important point they raise. These are endocrine-disrupting chemicals, EDCs. The sources list examples, things we encounter daily. Certain plastics, maybe food packaging, some personal care products, lotions, shampoos, that sort of thing.
Stuff that's just around us.
Yeah, even in household dust sometimes. And the way they work, according to the research, is basically by interfering with our endocrine system, the system that manages hormones. These chemicals, their shape, can be similar enough to our own hormones, like estrogen,
Oh,
that
okay.
they can sort of fit into the hormone receptors in the body. They might send a wrong signal or block a real one from getting through.
Those like interference.
Exactly, like
Yeah.
static, messing up the body's communication.
Okay, so you've got lifestyle factors throwing things off balance, and then these chemicals potentially mimicking or blocking signals. What's the actual impact on a child when puberty hits this early? What do the sources say?
Well, the picture painted is that it goes way beyond just the physical changes,
Yeah.
getting taller sooner, developing adult characteristics. Those are obvious, but the analysis really emphasizes the emotional and social side. Think about it. Puberty is confusing enough at the typical age. Doing it years early, kids might face body image struggles, feeling awkward, maybe getting teased by peers who haven't started changing yet, or being seen as older than they are emotionally before they can really handle that kind of pressure. It adds a lot of complexity.
Yeah, it sounds like a real ripple effect. Starts with these underlying things and impacts their whole development. But the sources do offer some hope, right? They mention simple changes can help.
They do. And what's really interesting is how the sources circle back to those common issues you mentioned at the start.
The fatigue, the focus problem.
Yes, exactly. The sources suggest that maybe, just maybe, some of those things aren't isolated. They could potentially be linked to these deeper hormonal shifts, like early puberty. It suggests a connection between our modern lifestyle, these environmental exposures, and not just puberty timing, but a child's overall health and development.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's something to think about, drawing from what we've seen in the sources. Consider our daily routines, the food we eat, sleep patterns, even the products we use in our homes. How deeply connected might these everyday things actually be to something as fundamental, as precisely timed as a child's hormonal development? Something to ponder.